You can see what's, no, it'll be in the goal.
It is 4:45. I want to welcome everyone. The February 5th meeting of the Baltimore County Planning Board is called to order. I'm Scott Holupka, Chair of the Board. We will now start the meeting with a roll call to account for members of the board present. When you hear your name, please say aye. Mr. Array, Mr. Brady,
Aye.
Ms. Brophy is not here yet. Mr. Duval, Ms. German,
Aye.
Mr. Heckman,
Aye.
Mr. Heinel, not here yet. Mr. Hinton, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Lilly,
Aye.
Ms. Muneses,
Aye.
Ms. Pinero is not here yet. Mr. Schulman, and Mr. Tennant.
Aye.
Gotta get my seat. Thank you all. Will you now please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. A reminder, board members, to please unmute your microphone when you are speaking and to mute it when you are finished. Ms. Bensley, are there any changes to the tentative agenda as published?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
In the January 29th email, you received draft minutes from the January 15th meeting. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the January 15th, 2026 meeting minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as circulated. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Bensley will now fill us in on the major actions of the January 14th Landmarks Preservation Commission meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At their January 14th, 2026 meeting, the Landmarks Preservation Commission voted to issue 2 certificates of appropriateness to the following properties: the Hart property located at 410 Fairmount Avenue in Towson, and the Perkins property located at 403 Gun Road in Halethorpe. And that concludes the report.
Thank you. Ms. Bensley will now fill us in on legislation recently passed by the County Council following our last meeting.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Bill 9125 zoning regulations, uses permitted in the manufacturing light ML zone electric vehicle center for the purpose of defining an electric vehicle center in certain areas of the MLIM district under certain circumstances, establishing a minimum number of off-street parking spaces for an electric vehicle center, and generally relating to electric vehicle centers in the MLIM district. Bill 9225 University Housing District rental housing license density limits for the purpose of defining certain terms, establishing the neighborhood preservation district, prohibiting the issuance of new rental housing licenses in certain areas under certain circumstances, providing criteria and requirements for evaluating and issuing new rental housing licenses in certain areas, requiring the county to maintain a public map and database of certain information related to rental housing licenses in a certain area pertaining to the county, permitting the county to issue regulations, and generally relating to rental housing licenses. Bill 9325 development impact fees and surcharges, exemptions for affordable housing for the purpose of establishing an exemption from the county's development impact surcharge and development impact fee for affordable housing developments that have been awarded an allocation of federal low-income housing tax credits pursuant to Section 42 of the Internal Revenue Code from the state of Maryland, and generally relating to development impact surcharge fees. And Resolution 1-26, Special Counsel Investigative Committee, Middle River Logistics Park, a resolution of the Baltimore County Council requiring the council to hold a public hearing and to investigate the approval process of the Chesapeake Park re-subdivision, also known as the Middle River Logistics Park, located at 195 Chesapeake Park Plaza, Middle River, Maryland, 21220, to the extent permitted by the Baltimore County Charter or by law. With that, I would like to turn things over to Director Lafferty for some legislation that was just passed by the council on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Just wanted to point out for the board that
bill that was adopted by the council on Monday, 3-26, requires the study of data centers in the county and actually directs the planning board to conduct this study. I've been in touch with members of the administration, and frankly, what I've recommended is that an internal agency committee be established, since this is basically beyond the normal purview of the planning board. Nonetheless, by October of 2026, the board is to issue a report. One of the requirements is a public hearing. It's not been determined that this will be more of a fact-finding hearing, or is this a hearing on the report that would be held at a later date. I'm presuming it was intended to be a fact-finding where the public can testify and speak about the data centers and concern with data centers. There are a series of recommendations as well that the board will ultimately be asked to provide. Historically, staff have generated reports for the board. The board then obviously has the opportunity to comment, change, or add if they wish before it's passed back to the county council. So this is more of a heads up that this will be coming to you. What I'm also going to ask the administration is that periodically be able to brief you as any progress is being made or new information is being shared, so the board's at least kept abreast of what's unfolding with the work that's taking place.
Thank you. That was actually going to be one of my questions. I thought that had just passed the other day. I'm assuming that part of the process, I mean, I know lots of other area jurisdictions, I think Frederick County, Montgomery County, et cetera, have been, doing studies. Part of the process will be trying to gather all of those various reports, as state reports, et cetera.
Yes, there's a requirement to do some comparatives, look at best practices, do some benchmarking as to what other jurisdictions are doing on the permitting side, the zoning side. It's part of the review as well as how does this compare as far as other industrial sites of the same size? What is the electrical demand? What is the energy, the water demands, which are two of the largest issues? And as I said to senior staff today, I can envision our staff perhaps helping with mapping and some of the data collection and some of the benchmarking and research. Frederick County and Prince George's County have been the leaders in the state so far, although there is a coalition of multiple counties that have come together to sort of examine that. And there's also a study that's been now funded from the state for a state study as well on a bigger scale.
Yeah. And then I guess also, and I know Northern Virginia has been a real leader in a lot of this. I don't know if they've done studies.
I'm sure that before a lot of these large facilities, large centers were built in Loudoun and Prince William County, that they were probably studied there.
So I don't know how the rest of the board feels. It would be great as some of this material is being assembled if, the board could have access to some of that as well for our light reading beforehand. Thank you very much. I also have a question. The bill that was just passed limiting rental housing here in the Towson area, how is that legal? I mean, because I could imagine other communities saying, let's limit the amount of rental housing in our community. And is that allowed?
Well, the county previously had passed legislation that also tightened down what landlords were doing in and around universities, applied primarily here to Towson and to UMBC. So yes, I mean, I think that's hadn't been legally challenged, or whether there's a basis for challenging it may be.
I'm just curious. Oh, yeah.
Another question, getting back to the data centers. I'm curious why the language in this, what they just passed on Monday, specifically citing planning board, is different than what it has been in the past, sounds like. Just curious if that means we got to do something.
You have to finally adopt a report that goes back to the county council. And I guess that's a conversation we can have along the way as well about the role that the board may want to play, so that you're not just, oh, here's a report, you pass it or not.
Right.
That's why I'm suggesting some sort of briefings or updates or whatever else, and you will have to conduct the public hearing. I believe probably Councilman Young, who initiated this, didn't know of another venue outside of the council, didn't want to say environmental protection conduct this study, but wanted to have a citizen body that could actually look at this information. I think that was his intent. And there are going to be land use implications, because where should these be placed? Are there certain zoning restrictions or certain size, or those sort of factors will come into play?
Yeah, I would be in favor of periodic updates, or if you want to just run something by us. I would. You know, it's not like we have long meetings right now.
No. I mean, and I don't know, I don't think this has been done since I've been on the board, but I don't know, would it be something that a subcommittee of board members might be interested in working on a little more? I think since this bill just passed, I think we need to figure out.
Yeah, well, we have an internal meeting set up to see how we want to try and structure and proceed. And I've already raised these points to hopefully we'll have some clarity about what seems to be the best way, because it's going to take most I mean, public works is going to have to be involved. Certainly PAI is going to have to be involved. Economic development. I mean, there are a lot of different touch points here.
Okay. Other questions? Not hearing any. This is the conclusion of our agenda. We will reconvene for our public hearing in 2 minutes. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Motion carries.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome to the Baltimore County Planning Board public hearing on the basic services map. The public hearing is now called to order. I'm Scott Holupka, Chair of the Planning Board. We will start with a roll call to account for members of the board present. When you hear your name, please say aye. Mr. Array, Mr. Brady,
Aye.
Ms. Brophy,
Aye.
Mr. Duval, Ms. German,
Aye.
Mr. Heckman,
Aye.
Mr. Heinel,
Aye.
Mr. Hinton, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Lilly, Ms. Munezes, Ms. Pinero, Mr. Schulman,
Aye.
Mr. Tennant.
Aye.
Thank you. This evening, we have a public hearing on the basic services map. This item was first introduced to the board on January 15th with a presentation by Mr. Andrew Brown of the Department of Public Works and Transportation. Tonight, Mr. Brown is here to further present the maps to the board. Following the presentation, board members will have a chance to ask questions, and then members of the public will have an opportunity to speak on the matter. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Brown.
Thank you very much. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Brown, and I'm an engineer and project manager serving in the Bureau of Engineering and Construction. I'm joined today by fellow engineer Chris Nebry with the Division of Traffic Engineering. We're here to present a more detailed account of the 2026 draft basic services maps for our public water, sewer, and transportation systems. As you may recall, the basic services maps are defined by the county zoning regulations, Article 4A, Growth Management, Section 4A02. Today, we'll provide a more detailed look at each of the deficiencies and areas of concern. I'll discuss the basic services maps for water and sewer, and Mr. Nebry will discuss the transportation maps. For the 2026 basic services map for water, there remains no deficient areas. This means that all fire flow tests met or exceeded the required water pressure. Fire flow testing standards are determined by the National Board of Fire Underwriters. They require a pressure of 20 psi for effective firefighting. The City of Baltimore is the owner of the public water system and performs hydrant tests on a 9-year cycle for over 14,000 hydrants in the county and over 8,000 hydrants in the city. Testing is limited to summer months due to temperature constraints, which we've all been feeling recently. Next, I'll discuss the 2026 basic services maps for sewer. The sewer design section reported one deficient area and 2 areas of concern. 3 areas of concern on last year's map have been eliminated. The sewer design section evaluates sewer capacity based on measured flows to determine deficient areas. Areas tributary to known constructed sanitary sewer overflow structures and areas with recorded evidence of surcharging during wet weather conditions are noted as areas of concern. The closure of the existing sanitary sewer overflows is being addressed by the consent decree. The Department of Public Works and Transportation is working hard to eliminate deficient areas and areas of concern, but it is important to understand that doing so often involves coordination with other agencies outside of Baltimore County and requires multiple rehabilitation and construction projects that span years. With all of that said, significant progress has been made. Let's dive into each area shown on the map, discuss the progress we've made, and what we're planning on doing in the near future to enable us to remove additional areas from the map. I'll start with the one deficient area reported, the Richland Manor wastewater treatment plant located in Perry Hall. During heavy rain, the incoming flow at the plant significantly increases, and the wastewater treatment flow exceeds 80% of the treatment plant's capacity. In accordance with MDE guidelines, the treatment plant is considered to be deficient during those heavy rains because it does not provide 20% reserve capacity. That is why this area of Perry Hall is identified as deficient on the sewer 2026 basic services map, the same as the year prior. Progress has been made on addressing this deficient area with the completion of several sewer rehabilitation projects. The final stages of design are underway for a pumping station that will ultimately replace the small treatment plant. Once the pumping station is completed, this deficient area can be removed from the map. Now, I'd like to cover 3 areas of concern that have been eliminated from the map this year. The first area of concern to be eliminated is located near Herring Run in Parkville. There were 2 active sanitary sewer overflow structures in this area, previously shown by the green dots on last year's map as structures 41 and 129. The completion of significant sewer rehabilitation work, the construction of a relief sewer, and the conducting of flow monitoring have made it possible for these structures to be closed off. The closure of the sanitary sewer structures in this area now allows for the removal of this area of concern. Similarly, this area near Marnett Road, previously identified as an area of concern, has been eliminated with the closure of the sanitary sewer overflow structure in this area, number 113. The completion of sewer rehabilitation work, relief sewer construction, and flow monitoring allowed for the closure of the sanitary sewer overflow structure. Lastly, this area in Powder Mill, previously identified as an area of concern, has been eliminated with the closure of all 4 sanitary sewer overflow structures in this area. That's 22, 23A, 23B, and 24. The completion of a significant amount of sewer rehabilitation and the construction of the Powder Mill interceptor allowed for the closure of these structures. I would like to underscore that the removal of these areas of concern represents years of dedicated work from our engineers and county staff to take on numerous sewer rehabilitation projects and relief sewer construction projects over the past 2 decades. The closure of these sanitary sewer overflow structures serves as a major milestone in the department's efforts to meet the requirements of the consent decree and better serve the residents of Baltimore County. Now I'd like to cover the 2 reported areas of concern. This area in Brooklynville has been identified as an area of concern. Note that the deficient area depicted on the 2025 basic services map in brown was defined and implemented by the Baltimore County Council through Bill 2425. The Department of Public Works and Transportation did not identify this area as having deficient sewer capacity on the 2025 basic services map, and that remains the case this year. In this area, during heavy rain, the flows temporarily overwhelm the sewer system, resulting in surcharging. Please note that this has been identified as an area of concern due to the recorded surcharging in the sewer system, which is a consideration regarding the conveyance of sewage. This is not a matter of the treatment plant's capacity to treat the sewage. Relief sewer project is in the final stages of design and has not yet begun construction, but once it's completed, it will increase the capacity of the sewer system to convey flows and reduce the likelihood of surcharging, enabling us to remove this area of concern from the map. The last area identified as an area of concern is located in Catonsville. With the completion of multiple sewer construction and rehabilitation projects in this area, 2 of the 3 sanitary sewer overflow structures have been closed off. That's number 116 and number 117. The only sanitary sewer overflow structure that remains open in Baltimore County is number 118, shown as a green dot on the 2026 sewer basic services map. As a result, this area will continue to be reported as an area of concern until the structure is closed. The closure of the sanitary sewer overflow structure number 118 will require the construction of a relief sewer. This relief sewer will be constructed by Baltimore City to add capacity to their system. We've been communicating with the city on a regular basis to get updates on their efforts to complete their studies and analysis that are required by the city's consent decree. The studies and analysis must be completed before they can construct the necessary improvements. Once the city has completed their improvements, we can close this overflow structure and remove this area of concern from the map. And now I'll pass the mic off to my colleague, Chris Nebry, with the Division of Traffic to go over the 2026 Transportation Basic Services Map.
Good evening, Board. Christopher Nebry from the Bureau of Transportation, and I'm a traffic engineer in that bureau. Just a little background on the basic services transportation maps. They are based, we observe traffic at all signalized intersections throughout the county. However, some are more critical than others that are listed in the basic service maps that are at a level service of D, E, or F. The criteria for those gradings is based off a load factor analysis, where the traffic is observed not only just for volume, but also for the congestion. Our traffic inspectors look at the length of the queues. They observe how long the queues are and whether it clears within that same signal cycle. If it does not clear, then that cycle is deemed a failed cycle. And based on the number of percentages of failed cycles within the hour, it is assigned a letter grade, F being the worst and having the most loads, and accordingly as such. Based from the 2025 to the 2026 basic services maps, there were no changes in grades, in the actual letter grades for the deficient areas. However, some of the percentages may change, but the letter grades did not change. Some of the changes that did happen in the basic service map were based off council bills. So on the 2025 map, there was just a shape around the Charles Bologna Kenilworth shed, traffic shed. And there's a property that looks like a donut hole in 2025. That donut hole was actually defined by a bill in 2025. So in 2026, just for this initial presentation, we are putting that area back in the shed. Next slide. Also in 2026, there's an E-level shed, which does not stop development in the area, but has a number of reserve trips for any development that gets built within that E traffic shed, which is shown in brown. In 2025, the volumes at the intersection showed that there was 17 reserve trips for any development that'll be developed there. However, in 2026, the grade was still an E, however, not as heavy. Therefore, the reserve trips is just increased to 81 for developments that are going to be built within that traffic shed around the Perring Parkway and Joppa Road shed. Next slide. And I think that shows the changes we are proposing for the 2026 map.
Thank you very much.
Chris.
I'm sorry. You have...
I was just going to say that concludes our presentation, and thank you for your time and attention. We're happy to take questions.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Got one. Thank you, Mr. Brown, I think this is the first year you put last year's map next to this year's, which I think is really helpful. Thank you for doing that. I have a question about the Brooklynville site.
Sure.
Would be wouldn't be one of these hearings if I didn't ask that question, because I've been asking it for 4 years, I think, 4 or 5 years. I'm glad to see it's finally showed up. And I think you said it wasn't a capacity issue, a power or a plant issue. It's a localized area. What, I'm sorry, I missed exactly what the issue is and where we are in the process of, we in engineering yet? Are we in design?
Sure. So it's not a treatment capacity problem. It's a conveyance problem, which means that during a big rain event, the pipes, the sewer system that's conveying the flows down to the treatment plant, they become temporarily overwhelmed, and a condition called surcharging occurs. So that doesn't mean overflow. That means that basically you have a backup of water that builds up into the manholes. And so whenever we see that, that's of something that we want to flag as concern, and that's something that we actually have metered data. We've actually recorded and seen that there was surcharging. So that's why that's been flagged as an area of concern. There is actually currently a relief sewer in the design process, and actually very close to the end of the design process. They're working on real estate acquisition and getting easements and that technical stuff sorted out. But it is something we're actively looking to resolve.
But it sounds like we're still a couple of years away.
Yes, I think so.
Thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Array?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for the presentation. This correspondence from Mr. David Lamaya.
Plummer.
Plummer. So, and he's opposing the approval of the map. And he says here, once again, the board is being asked to approve a map based on regulatory scheme adopted by the county, failed to comply with the requirements of state law, intended to protect us in the environment from sanitary sewer overflows. What can you say about that?
I'm not aware of any scheme, and I'm not actively participating in the scheme.
So he concentrated on Jones Force sewer shed capacity. Are you intending to upgrade that area?
There are no areas of concern or deficiencies shown on this map. However, just because there isn't a deficiency or there isn't an area of concern doesn't mean that everyone just has the green light to build whatever they want. We always review for capacity whenever development plans come through. So that, these services maps aren't, hey, go build whatever you want here maps.
I think part of the question that Mr. Plummer raised was the capacity of the 42-inch main under Lake Roland. And I know in past years, we've had people come up and raise concerns about that. Can you address that at all? Is that a concern? Are there plans to address that?
So my understanding, basically, I solicit all the different sections for their memos to report out on any areas of concern and deficiencies. So sewer section did not report any deficiencies in that area. Of course, we have numerous projects to address numerous concerns, but not something that was elevated to appear on this map.
Yes, please.
For the record, Matt Leone, Chief of Design for Baltimore County DPWT. I did read the testimony that you're referring to, and I think that we addressed it is conveyance based. It's the only reason for areas of concern landing on the map is not treatment plant capacity. We do consider conveyance. The specific sewer that you're talking about under Lake Roland, we are working towards design. That is a very complex project. It's under Lake Roland. It wasn't always a lake. It's a man-made lake. So we're actively looking at creative ways to fix that. It's on our radar. But I'd argue everything we do is complex. And this is more complex than complex, but it's not something we're ignoring.
I could imagine. I am curious, any of you, it sounds like in a number of the deficient areas, part of the process is to eliminate the overflow.
The areas of concern. Yes,
right.
Absolutely. So yeah, some of the areas of concern were identified as such, basically starting at the consent decree. Anytime there was an active overflow structure, then that area, that the drainage area contributing to that was
so at the end of this process, I mean, I know we've been under the consent decree for quite a while. At the end of the process, will that eliminate all the overflow structures in the county, or what's?
Absolutely. Yeah. We are working actively to eliminate all the overflow structures. The last one that remains open in Catonsville, unfortunately, we're beholden to the city to get that closed. So we are going to be somewhat waiting on their timeline for that, and we continue to try to partner with them to get that done. But yes, absolutely. The goal is at the end of the consent decree that all the sanitary sewer overflows are structured.
Is the Catonsville one the last one?
It is the only one remaining in the
Oh,
county.
wow. Okay. I wasn't quite sure if there were like others out there that just weren't causing as many problems. So
It's the only open active one remaining in the county.
thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
My question is concerning the area of deficiency in Richland Manor, Perry Hall. That was also an area of deficiency last year, 2025. Has anything been done, and is the goal to downgrade it to an area of concern, or just completely eliminate it as a area of deficiency?
So there has been progress made. What's happened is that is actually, we're not looking to downgrade to an area of concern. The goal would be to just eliminate it completely. And so that's a very small wastewater treatment plant, just serving a couple of neighborhoods. So all of those neighborhoods that contribute to that are within the deficient area. And until we can pull that offline and replace it with a pump station, we're going to continue to show it as deficient. These pump station projects do take a few years to undertake, so it's still in progress. We've certainly made a year's worth of progress on that project. We're getting near the end of design, and I hopefully next year I'll be reporting on some additional progress made there. But functionally, all that drainage that's going to that small wastewater treatment plant will be pumped over to gravity sewer and then go to Back River, the main plant on that side of the city.
But currently, the overflow goes straight into the Gunpowder River?
Well, it's not an overflow. I should clarify. It's a wastewater treatment, so it is getting treated. We're not dumping raw sewage into the Gunpowder, but yes, the outflow from that wastewater treatment plant is Gunpowder Falls.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. We will now call upon those who have completed the sign-in sheet located in the Jefferson Building lobby to speak on this topic. Speakers will be called in the order that they registered. Do we have any people registered?
Just one, Miss Beth Miller.
Thank you, Planning Board, for hearing my testimony. My name is Beth Miller. I'm testifying on behalf of the Green Towson Alliance. We have been testifying to this board and the County Council about the lack of sewer capacity in the Jones Falls sewer shed since 2017. Our concerns are at least 5 that I'll name tonight. 1, MDE and EPA are currently renegotiating the sanitary sewer consent decree with Baltimore County, which is 6 years past the deadline for completion. 2, this is confusing. Administrative law judges ruled against 2 developments due to lack of sewer capacity in the Jones Falls sewer shed, first in 2019, second in 2023. GTA has found 3 sanitary sewer overflows below the dam in Lake Roland since 2019. A performance assessment review conducted by RJN in 2021 shows worsening conditions in Lake Roland area post-rehabilitation compared with the county consultant's 2012 plan for fixing the system. Almost all pipes were fuller during storms than in 2012. All pipes from Joppa Road to the city line, that's the Brooklynville area, exceed the county's design maximum of 90% for the selected design storm. In several areas, model predicted overflows are shown for much smaller storms. Work is ongoing in the Lake Roland area that you asked about, despite Baltimore County DPWT's assertion the county consent decree work was completed in September 2020. To be specific, which you were not told, a $10 million relining project is planned for the 42-inch pipe under Lake Roland, along with other substantive rehabilitation work to minimize the inflow and infiltration into the interceptors and reduce the likelihood of sanitary sewer overflows. In 2012, the county's consultant called for a relief sewer at Lake Roland, not the lesser rehabilitation of relining, for which there is no modeled support showing this project will solve capacity problems. Please read our written testimony for more details. Given all this, how can development continue to be approved in the Jones Falls sewer shed? The basic services maps should protect communities from the need to litigate sewer capacity on a case-by-case basis and not fall to only those who can afford it. We ask the planning board to amend the maps to indicate the area from Lake Roland to the city line as a deficient area.
Thank you. Any questions? You're the only speaker, so I'm Mr. Array.
So what can the county do to really make you guys to be on board with it? What are you requesting actually, to be specific, that they do? Because I see for many years now, the county has been accused of staying away, ignoring the report by KNK, the engineering firm, just different allegations.
Right.
What is it that you are requesting in specifics that the county do?
Well, I mentioned this $10 million relining project. We would like to see a model that shows that that solves capacity problems that are clearly an issue based on this performance assessment review. They've spent millions of dollars rehabilitating the Jones Falls, and we're still seeing pipe capacities well above 90%. So we need to see a modeled solution that will show that there will be capacity to handle existing and future flows.
Yeah, I would think that Mr. Brown and in the Department of Transportation, I would think that they know better. I would think that they will not spend that amount of money to do something that will not last, that will not take care of the capacity needs.
They've called this I believe they're not saying it's part of the consent decree. They're saying it's to prolong the life of the system. They're not indicating what the study that that was done to determine the project. It said it was work to minimize inflow and infiltration into the interceptors and reduce the likelihood of sanitary overflows. That's completely different than extending the life of the system. So I don't know of any modeled support that shows that this is going to, I'm sure it will add capacity, but I don't know how much.
So do you want him to do a presentation to your group?
Yes, we've asked for that many times.
To do a presentation of what?
We've been told we would get answers to all these questions, and we have not gotten answers.
Is that like possible for you to actually do a presentation?
Okay. This is going beyond what the planning board, so if you guys want to have these discussions offline, I think that's fine.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Munez?
You said the ALJ had stopped 2 development projects
Yes,
because of the
yes, because of lack of sewer capacity.
Have there been any other development projects that have been okayed?
Lots and lots, but because those particular developments either, I mean, I can name one, Red Maple Place, heavily opposed, but that community could not afford to hire a expert witness to come in and testify and oppose the project based on sewer capacity. That was a big cost that they couldn't undertake. There's lots of projects that go unchallenged. There's projects in downtown Towson. What's the community that would oppose that project in downtown Towson? There's no community association in downtown Towson to oppose a project. So that's not how sewers should be regulated based on who can oppose a project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the only speaker? All right. That concludes our speaker registration list. Thank you to everyone who came to speak. The planning board will take your comments into consideration. I will also add, as Mr. Array pointed out, we did get some written testimony submitted by David Plimmer that was sent out today to all the board members, so you have a chance to look at that as well. Are there any further comments, questions from the board? Nope. If there are no further questions or comments, this concludes our public hearing. Board is scheduled to vote on this matter at the next board meeting on February 19th. That meeting will be virtual. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Thank you very much.